Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about this latest update to the New York City migrant crisis, because Mayor Eric Adams has decided, in partnership with a finance company that of course is likely a donor to Mayor Eric Adams, that they are going to start giving migrants up to $1,000 loaded up on prepaid credit cards, and that is going to be the replacement for giving them food, because if you're here illegally, if you claim asylum fraudulently in the United States of America, in the city of New York, guess what? You're entitled to the universal basic income that Andrew Yang promised, which, by the way, considering he was running for mayor, I think New York City voters might as well have gone with him based on these circumstances. Now, we're going to talk about this, we're going to delve into it, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Questions being raised tonight about a new pilot program that'll give migrant families a reloadable prepaid credit card to buy food and baby supplies.
So one of the big sells of this, one of the big pitches from the Adams administration is the fact that these food boxes, very inefficient. So much food goes to waste because sometimes these migrants don't like the food that they're given, and this will streamline the whole process. He's partnering with the finance company, likely donor to the Adams campaign.
Some migrant families will soon be given prepaid credit cards to buy food and baby supplies. The mayor's office says the city is partnering with Mobility Capital Finance to launch a more cost-effective program
in order to make sure that these migrants can buy the food that they actually want to eat, and that will not go to waste. It will just be more efficient. It's better for you. He's actually made claims that this will save New York City taxpayers $7 million. Now, of course, when you start handing out up to $1,000 in prepaid debit cards to people that come to your country illegally and go directly to New York City, that is called a magnet that will draw in more people, that will thus end up costing us more money in the long run. But don't worry, Eric Adams said that he crunched the numbers, he did the math, and it turns out that his donor finance company was 100% right, and they had this wonderful program, and there's no flaws in it at all whatsoever, except for the ones that I'm going to go into throughout the course of this video.
Right now, the city has contracts with food services who provide non-perishable food boxes to shelters. They will start with 500 migrant families with children in short-term hotel stays.
So first of all, we still have illegal migrants staying in hotels in the city of New York. We're still paying premium hotel rates for these people who are committing asylum fraud, who do not belong in our country, out of the taxpayer purse. Then we're giving them food. Then they didn't like the food. They waste a bunch of the food. So now we're giving 500 families these prepaid debit cards at the cost of $53 million, by the way. Very expensive for 500 test families. But Eric Adams says this will be cheaper, and this definitely 100% won't draw in more families, more people seeking benefits. They're already here largely due to the fact that there's a right to shelter, but trust us, this won't be a magnet. Eric Adams doesn't even know what a magnet is, so how could you possibly call this a magnet?
The cards can only be used at bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets, and convenience stores.
Now, I want to point out that this is at the same time that Mayor Eric Adams is trying to arrest bus drivers that are dropping off criminal migrants in the city of New York. He's attempted to seal the border of the city of New York, but he's handing out more perks to draw them in, partnering with a finance company in order to do so, and this is insanely questionable, and by the way, will lead to more criminality, as I will explain in a little bit.
We're just giving this migrant population more free stuff at the expense of New York City taxpayers.
So he's 100% right about this. You are giving more free stuff at the expense of New York City taxpayers. This is an absolute disaster. It will draw in more people, but that's not the only flaw. That's not the only fatal conceit of this Adams program, and he thinks he's figured it out, that he's cracked the code, but the guy's an idiot, and I'm going to prove it to you in just a little bit.
In a statement, the mayor's office says, in part, quote, not only will this provide families with the ability to purchase fresh food of their culturally relevant diets and the baby supplies of their choosing, but the pilot program is expected to save New York City more than $600,000 per month, or more than $7.2 million annually.
So as I've been saying throughout the course of this video, part of the issue that we're running into is that the migrants don't like the free food that they were being given. That's why he brought up the cultural diets that people are used to. So we have a situation where people are fraudulently claiming asylum, saying that they're in danger from their home country. Essentially, they arrived here as beggars, but they're saying, hey, wait a minute, we're also choosers and we demand that we get the food to our preferences and please load it up on these prepaid debit cards. Now, Eric Adams says, don't worry, it's going to save so much money. You don't even realize how much money we're going to save, even though, again, this incentivizes more people to come here illegally. We've already had 173,000 arrive in the city of New York, which, by the way, if you're in Texas, if you're along the border, I understand that's nothing, but the point is, this is something that has pissed Adams off so much that he's trying to illegally close the border to New York City, and now he's creating a new program to bring in more people, to incentivize more people to come in, and pretending like it's saving money.
I'm not going to be thankful that a program that was bloated and inefficient is somehow cheaper to just give away free money to people in the hopes that they feed themselves.
Now, this is a great point from this representative from Staten Island. The idea that you ran a really horrible program where a bunch of food got wasted. By the way, you're inefficiently hoteling these people as well. And now you're going to say, well, if we cut out all of that and just give these people debit cards, give these people credit cards, then everything's all good in the hood, first class all the way, and that will be more efficient, wink, wink.
According to the New York Post, this pilot program will cost the city $53 million. The amount loaded on the card will depend on the family size.
They're deflecting attention away from their incompetency, and they're not holding accountable the people that had prior contracts.
So if you're going to question Mayor Eric Adams' competence in the way that he's handling the migrant crisis, I'm right there with you. As long as you're not doing exactly what this guy is doing, which is claiming that the migrants need more, these poor sad sack migrants are entitled to more of your tax dollars, which is exactly the perspective that this person is coming from. He's talking about how the prices at the grocery store are too expensive for the migrants.
Paramalu is with artists, athletes, and activists. He says the Adams administration is setting up the migrants for failure.
Purchasing food at the supermarket is not cheap anymore. And on top of that, they don't have kitchens. So how are they going to purchase the food that they want?
By the way, regular New Yorkers have to pay those prices, and now they're competing with those illegal migrants who get $1,000 up to $1,000 in money in order to buy that. And that's ridiculous and absurd in every possible way. This is the same kind of person that was outside of that hotel when the migrants were having a little riot because they were being moved out of the hotel, who claimed that not only do migrants have a divine right from the heavens to be hoteled in Central Park West, but in reality, in actuality, they have a divine right gifted to them by the gods. When you commit asylum fraud, this is your reward from the heavens.
Volunteer advocates argue the city should put these migrants in some of the most expensive pieces of real estate in the world.
He could have easily, along with Governor Hochul, opened up all the vacant luxury apartments. We are on 57th Street right now. This is Billionaires Row. Half of the super towers on this street are empty.
To be put up in Billionaires Row, the most expensive real estate in the entire country.
Purchasing food at the supermarket is not cheap anymore. And on top of that, they don't have kitchens. So how are they going to purchase the food that they want?
Absolutely not. No way in hell. You can just shove right off. You probably work for a nonprofit that was profiting off the old system. You're probably one of the leeches, and you're mad that you're being cut out of the game.
Pilot program drawing immediate criticism, including from rapper 50 Cent, who went on to social media to vent his frustration, writing, "Maybe Trump is the answer."
So this, as you can see, is not going over well. And it's not just your average everyday American that's pissed off about this. As you can see right there, rapper 50 Cent is now posting about how maybe Trump is the answer. And considering the fact that blacks are actually, according to polling, falling out of love with the Democratic Party, due in large part to this migrant issue, it would be wise of Eric Adams and Democrats as a whole to stop trying to bend over backwards to give these asylum fraudsters all these different forms of new welfare.
I told 50 Cent to hit me up. I would love to explain it to him.
And of course, Eric Adams is like, oh, hit me up, buddy. I will explain it to you and all that. I'd love to do so. But the thing is, we can already see what's happening, and we haven't even gotten to the worst part about this. But I want to hear from Greg Abbott because I think he has some sensible commentary on this, considering that Eric Adams, Brandon Johnson, and all these Democratic mayors are blaming him for not absorbing the millions of illegal migrants committing asylum fraud in this country and letting some go to the left-wing cities, which, by the way, were called sanctuary cities, said that they wanted the migrants, yet they're still attacking him.
And over the weekend, Texas Governor Greg Abbott joining the choir of criticism while on Fox News, calling the program insanity.
It may be the most reprehensible thing that I've seen take place over the past 48 hours.
It's the latest effort by New York City officials to deal with the ongoing migrant surge. More than 173,000 migrants and asylum seekers have arrived in New York City since the spring of 2022. Both the New York Democratic governor and the mayor have been pleading for federal support, insisting the city is at a breaking point.
Now, another thing that's not being reported by the news media in any of the stories that I saw, even though this should be obvious, is that this opens up the opportunity for fraud, for scamming, for defrauding the New York City taxpayer in a similar way as we've seen for EBT cards, SNAP benefits, etc.
The families who get these credit cards will be required to sign an affidavit swearing they will only use them for food or baby supplies. Those who violate the terms could be kicked out of the program.
You see, they're all wrapped up in the fact that you're only allowed to spend this on groceries or on supplies for your baby and all of that, but the fact of the matter is you have $1,000 in credits that you can use at any of these stores. And what we've seen with the food stamp program is that people will trade that $1,000 in credits for $800 in cash, and then no baby supplies will be bought, no food for the children will be bought, but then these criminal migrants will actually have some spending money on hand, and the stores are interested in making that deal because they get to reap the benefits and get all the profits. So when you make the system that vulnerable to fraud with a scam that we've seen multiple times in the food stamp program, you're not helping anyone. You're not making it more efficient. But that wasn't even factored into this program. That wasn't even discussed throughout the whole course of this segment, despite the fact that we've seen this happen in the city of New York before with the food stamp program.
The move as the search continues for migrants who were caught on camera attacking 2 New York City police officers last month. 7 suspects were arrested and 6 of those were released without bond.
Now, the thing is, they don't really give a damn if these migrants commit crime. They don't give a damn if they commit this fraud. And the migrants know that they can get away with it because, remember, they were allowed to assault police officers in Times Square on video, and these criminal migrants were released without bond. Even when they had previous criminal records, previous assaults, and all that, they were still let go. And Bragg is still defending that decision, even though he's being disingenuously called out by the governor of New York, who backs bail reform, who loves same-day automatic release for criminals, even though when it becomes inconvenient for her, she pretends that she doesn't, and saying that, oh, he needed to do this out of an abundance of caution because, God forbid, we send the wrong person to jail.
Bragg defending his decision while condemning the attack, saying he didn't request bail out of caution, adding he needed to send the right people to jail.
The video is the start of the process, not the end. We will continue to work to identify all those responsible and will hold them accountable for their specific roles.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Alvin Bragg is worried about sending the wrong people to jail. Remember when Alvin Bragg held Jose Alba on a $100,000 bond despite video evidence of him, a 61-year-old man, being viciously attacked and defending himself against that attacker? Remember when he was put in jail and they didn't even clean his wounds properly, so he got an infection and Bragg charged him with murder? By the way, the person who attacked him was somebody who assaulted a police officer and was released without bail. That's how he was able to attack Alba, why he had to defend himself in the first place. That was perfectly fine because Jose Alba was a legal immigrant from the Dominican Republic who ultimately eventually became a citizen of the United States of America, but that meant that he had it coming because he came the legal and proper way. But these asylum fraudsters, these people who assault police officers on video, we wouldn't want to hold them in jail. They could be innocent angels. I mean, we have them on video attacking people. Like, we can see the video of them doing it. It's been all over the news, but we got to be cautious with them because all they did was attack police officers on video in a completely unjustified way, commit a bunch of other crimes before that. So why would we even hold them? So yeah, that's New York City right here. More welfare for the migrants, universal basic income for the migrants, even though this is a proven method that has been defrauded in the city of New York in recent history. And we're all supposed to pretend like it's all okay, it's first class all the way, don't worry worry about it. They just get those benefits because these poor, sad sack migrants that are committing fraud at the border that now will continue to come here because you're adding additional benefits. Gosh, aren't their lives so sad? Aren't they better than you, the regular citizen? Look, you guys know how it works. I give you my thoughts and opinions, and then I open up the floor to you. Do you think this program makes sense? Do you think that it's more efficient? Are you a fan of the debit cards? Or do you think we need to start cutting back on benefits for asylum seekers due to the overwhelming amount of asylum fraud in our system, to not have so many people come into these locations and overload our systems? Again, let me know down in the comments below. As usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness in New York City, giving debit cards now to illegal immigrants. Till next time.